In our world, we have an endless amount of mysteries, from the folklore of local areas to timeless stories well known across the land. But in the world of video games, sometimes these stories aren't passed down correctly just like in real life. Either through the grapevine the story becomes changed, or due to the resources available at the time, the moment isn't really preserved at all. Timing is everything, and that's precisely what we'll be talking about today. You see, there was a time frame when playing the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time where mysteries were plentiful. People were at different progress points throughout the game too, and this helped add to the local gossip around particular concepts and mysteries. And this combination of childhood ignorance and being disconnected from the outside world is what started one of the earliest cryptid hunts I can remember within a digital world. The hunt for the most elusive creatures that roamed the world of Zelda. So as a quick side note, the term cryptid, for those who don't know, refers to cryptozoology. As Wikipedia puts it, cryptozoology is a pseudoscience and subculture that aims to prove the existence of entities from the folklore record, such as Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, etc. So basically, creatures that people claim to exist but cannot prove. Now back then, we didn't even know what any of this terminology was, so we certainly didn't refer to anything as cryptids. It was just rumors about mysterious enemies, so to speak. Someone claimed they had encountered something bizarre, and other people tried to go find that same thing. The earliest rendition of this was of course the big pose that can be encountered as Adult Link. This was merely just a misunderstanding of what they really were though, as when I first saw them I was really confused. After fighting regular Pose and seeing the Composer Bros, I of course thought I spawned something rare. Curiosity overcame me too, because I never could actually defeat them fast enough. This was prior to getting Epona of course, but then later on I learned that these random ghosts were for a side quest that would give me another bottle. During that time though, child me would have trouble remembering where they appeared and how to make them appear, so it certainly was mysterious. But nothing compared to the things people encountered next. And these were the giant, unique enemies of Ocarina of Time. Now, by now, most of us have probably ran into these strange occurrences. Most notably, Stalchilds probably come to mind for some of you. These bony, laughing skeletons that emerged from Hyrule Field during the night as a child. If you wandered off the dirt path for too long, you'd be in for a fight. But the weird thing is, if you stop to actually fight these creatures repeatedly, over and over again, something odd will spawn. A Stalchild that is far bigger than the rest. Now, this is where things get interesting, because lots of players, of course, encountered this weird enemy spawn first. This oversized skeleton that looked like it would be a tougher enemy, but turned out to be just like these small Stalchilds. A few swings with your sword, and it died. And you'd be left wondering what just happened. As the night goes on though, and you slay more and more creatures, you might even encounter an even larger one, but you'd have to be pretty diligent to do so. Now of course, there was really no explanation as to how this occurred. It just sort of happened, and we weren't aware it had to do with the number of enemies we had just slain. But the mystery grew deeper because we noticed it elsewhere too. Deep in the desert, the player becomes pretty accustomed to battling levers. These green, rotating plant-like beings emit from the ground and attack Link frequently. They are a bit of a strange enemies since they don't actually have any danger music. But just like the Stalchilds, after a while an enormous one can emerge that takes on a different tone. Experiencing this for the first time is bizarre, yet due to the frequency of the levers, it wasn't as notable as the Stalchilds. The song change was definitely perplexing though. When combined with the Stalchild experience, it was clear that there was a pattern going on. Out of normal groups of enemies, it seemed that there was a chance that rarer forms of them could spawn. And that's what began the hunt. As a group of kids who had played Pokemon Red and Blue extensively prior to picking up this 3D Zelda title, we were familiar with the concept of random encounters and chance occurrences. Not knowing these spawns were tied to an overarching numbers game, we continued searching for the remaining giant creatures of Hyrule, and it wasn't long until we came across another one that could be found in the same location as the levers. Graze are those annoying birds that fly into you over and over again. And it turns out, just like the other enemies discussed, that defeating a high amount of Graze will actually cause the game to spawn a giant Graze, which is actually the most terrifying thing ever. Giant birds are the worst. But this discovery, this occurrence, showing that more giant-sized enemies could be encountered, made us search far and wide. If these enemies had rare giant-sized variants, what about the rest of the enemies in the game? Is there a chance a giant-sized Reed could spawn? Not that I would wanted it to because they're absolutely terrifying, but could it? Or perhaps a giant like. The search began as we load and unload maps trying to find the fourth large creature to add to our list. But we never found another one, regardless of how hard we tried. it seems that these 3 enemies were the only ones with these specific characteristics. But why? What's actually going on here? To my understanding, these giant-sized enemies were more so just an Easter egg to surprise people, sort of as a reward for getting 10 kills in a row for a specific type of enemy. In fact, hunting down Stalchilds this way can be extremely lucrative in terms of money making. Typical Stalchilds drop a single rupee or 5, whereas a large Stalchild will drop 3 red rupees almost every kill. And with each large Stalchild you kill, something interesting happens. The next one spawns even bigger than the last. Now, this can be hard to notice because generally you only get 2 large kills a night if you time things correctly. Once daytime breaks, the cycle is broken. However, a good method to conserve time is to actually have Navi examine the one you're fighting while the next one spawns, because the initial spawn can still take place while time is frozen and the text is on screen. You can even do this with another enemy such as the Peahat's larva, which would allow you to cycle 2 Stalchilds out at a time, meaning the only time you'd be burning would be spent on the attacks you hit the Stalchilds with. But the bizarre thing is that there really isn't a limiting factor besides night on how large these Stalchilds can get. If we freeze time by modifying the game, perpetually placing the game in an eternal night, the results are quite terrifying. The Stalchild grows bigger and bigger until it can be seen across the horizon, eventually growing tall enough where you can run between its legs to avoid it. What you're seeing here is about 20 minutes of non-stop killing Stalchilds, and you can see how absurd this is getting. Technically, if this continued on for hours, the Stalchild would eclipse the map and die due to touching water or from falling through the floor. It's kind of strange to think about, really. This one action in the game that many people experienced and moved on from is actually an open-ended loop that cannot be closed until the sun comes up. These giant creatures that roam the land of Hyrule held secrets that I'm just now getting to the bottom of over 20 years later. It kind of makes you wonder how much more there is to discover still, in both our world and in digital ones. I'll never forget the hours I spent hunting down the oddities in the land of Hyrule, hoping to be the first to discover something profound to share with my friends. But how about you? Any strange stories or discoveries in games you made yourself? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, thanks for tuning in to this giant creature hunt. Perhaps you'll enjoy one of these nostalgic videos. Thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers.